A great opportunity to share first-hand experience, and most importantly, I'm nothing but eyewitness. And it looks like many people want to decide on behalf of the children in the Middle East without listening to the children, without listening to a child of that conflict. It's not important to have someone who have lived it, to provide first-hand experience and information, so when they make their decisions on our behalf, on behalf of the children in the Middle East, they don't make mistake. For example, by funding criminals for decades from the public money that has been advancing terrorism and chaos that brought us to this low point of destruction and barbarism. And of course, none of them would take responsibility. They want to sit in comfort and decide on behalf of this generation and the next generations. It's not important for them to come and take a seat for half an hour and listen. But what can we do? This is part of this war, a war of narratives. And there is only one truth. But many have been compromised by the Qatari money, and yes, by the Qatari money, the Arab oil money, the Muslim money. And they have been serving many masters. When they serve many masters, this means that they have no truth. I was born back in 1978. I was only 10 years old when the first Palestinian Intifada started. My father was one of the founders of Hamas. And my family taught me that I was Palestinian. But they never said why I was Palestinian. Like today, millions of people believe to be Palestinians as an ethnic group, but in reality they are not. And we have tens of millions around the world who say free Palestine, while in reality Palestine never existed, except as a colonial entity against the indigenous of the land. I'm not saying that there were no Arabs in that region, but for some reason, Arabs were allowed to take their caravans from every destination in Arabia with no political borders to come and profit from the British mandate of Palestine. But the Jews who had to go through the Holocaust and the ethnic cleansing on the hands of Ottoman Empire for approximately 400 years, then the ethnic cleansing in Europe, then the Holocaust, they did not have the right to take the boat and escape the hell of Nazism to come and find a safe place where they could survive. This is a crime. It's colonialism. But for all the Arab and Muslim invaders who came to profit, who did not have any connection to the land, that was legitimate. So I was supposed to believe that I am a Palestinian. But what makes a Palestinian, nobody has the answer. What makes the Palestinian different than the Egyptian or the Jordanian? It's not a human race. It's not a distinct language. It's not a religion. It is nothing but a violent ideology that was established as a hostile movement to annihilate the Jewish people from that land. The continuous Islamic, and I insist to say Islamic, attempt to kill the Jewish people. And that brings us to the ideological dimension that many of us are in denial. Why? Because we have 2 billion Muslims around the world and we don't want to piss them off. So most of us stick our head in the sand in denial, while it's in the Quran, it's in the Hadith, that it's an Islamic belief based on the Islamic most trusted sources, that the end times will not come and the Mahdi, that's the savior of the Muslims, will not return until the Muslims annihilate all the Jewish people, not only in Israel, but worldwide. This is not only human delusion. They have been acting on it. It's a legislation. Many out there believe that Allah gave them the authority to punish the Jewish people. First, Allah chose the Jewish people. It was His chosen ones. But for disobedience, Allah wanted to punish the Jewish people. And now the Muslims functioning as the sword of Allah on earth to punish the Jewish people and all the non-Muslims who don't submit to Islam. This is the Islamic law. And all those who try to sell the West a peaceful version of Islam, they are liars and they are lying. And their claim is baseless. Okay, this is two controversies, very important to understand as a foundation of this conflict. Because if we really want to find a solution, then we need to understand the dimensions of the conflict. And the ideological dimension of this conflict is the most significant one, in my humble opinion. This is how I was conditioned. As a Muslim, then as a Palestinian, and I think both identities are false. They stole our individuality as children. We were born free, children of earth, children of the divine. And they gave us false identity. They said, you're a Palestinian now. Fight for this identity. It's so important to you. And who created this? A con artist from Egypt, born in Egypt, with an Egypt accent. His name Yasser Arafat. A global terrorist who wanted to globalize the Intifada and hijack commercial airplanes and blow up athletes at Munich Olympics. And we can go on and on of the Palestinian global terrorism as a mean for political and financial gain. He never been there. No evidence. With the Egyptian birth certificate. And this is the father of the Palestinian revolution. The most corrupt revolution on earth that does not have concern towards the Arab or the Jewish children in that region. Please notice, my ethnicity is not Palestinian. We are Arabs of Judea and Samaria. That's an ethnic group. This is ethnicity. But Yasser Arafat did not want us to go to school. This is why, when the first Palestinian Intifada started back in 1987, the masked men used to come to our school and ask us to leave, to go to the checkpoints and throw stones at the Israeli army. Because for Yasser Arafat, it was very clever to to pay a handful of masked men, we didn't know who they were, to come to school and send children to the checkpoints to get shot, or at least to confront. This image attracted the globe and attracted so many people to see the bravery of a child throwing a rock at a very advanced weapon. So many people sympathized with Yasser Arafat and his movement. They funded Yasser Arafat. And Yasser Arafat got addicted to power, to fame, to money, to prestige, and now this became his game. He assassinated his political rivals. He self-appointed, or he appointed himself as the leader of the revolution. And he built billions of dollars. Where did that come from? The Arab oil money and the European countries who funded him to try to silence him. This is the game. The more money you give this corrupt revolution, the more they will sacrifice children. Not only Jewish children, but also Arab children. And of course, people in the West cannot understand a culture that is willing to sacrifice its own children. But I'm a living example. When my father had to choose between his ideology, between his hypothetical Allah that he is worshipping and his son, he chose the cause to maintain and protect his public image that he has invested more than 60 years in falsehood, false identity of a Palestinian, of an Islamist. This is not who I am, and it's a choice to know my roots as a child of the divine, as a child of the universe, as a child of earth. That today I choose the highest interest of humanity, not the interest of the tribe. That this is Palestinian, etc. Who cares? And how many children are they willing to sacrifice for this sick ideology? And today we have so many sellouts in the West who scream out loud, "Free, free Palestine," forsaking the hostages. Naturally, when we have a hostage situation, humanity should get united to say, "Free the hostages," the most logical thing. They represent all of us. They're just civilians that they have been kidnapped from their backyards, from their living rooms. Infants, children, elders, Holocaust survivors, mostly farmers from a liberal community that actually believed in coexistence and peace. And the entire world suddenly got united behind a concept. They choose a concept over humanity. It's so obvious that our crisis is bring the hostages and save the children from those who have hijacked the entire society and booby-trapped one of the most populated areas in the Middle East to kill civilians for political and financial gain. But for some